We're doing a throwback. It's a real special episode for me. We're taking her skirt off. Bam, there's your setup. Today, we're throwing the D&M Custom Baits Piranha Swim Jig. It's Northern Strain style. Hit that like and subscribe. Let's go.
I'm a fishing man out on the lake. I got a boat full of tackle and a pole that'll never break. Well, over on the lake in a shady little nook sat a sweet little thing trying to bait her hook. The way she looked in her bathing tan, I almost forgot I was a fishing man. But I'm a fishing man out on the lake. All you need is a line and a pole that'll never break.
The D&M Custom Baits Piranha Swim Jig. Now, this swim jig chatterbait came out roughly around the same time as the ZMAN one did. Let's just say it came out after. Now, it came out before they had their patent, so it had the blade connected to the jig head. And once the patent came out, they had to switch it up, obviously, and then they had to do the split ring on the jig head. And the thing about these chatterbaits, which makes them next level, is having the blade connected to the jig head. So, it comes with a big beefy hook on it. There's the bait keeper on it. It's got a real nice head on it with the golden googly eye. It's got the disco ball sparkle blade on it. And it's just plain silver on the other side. Now, their chatterbait blades, you know, they came in black, they came in green pumpkin. It just kind of depended on which color you bought. But man, phenomenal chatterbait. I hope now that the patent's over, they'll bring these back. And for whatever reason, the 3/4 ounce was my favorite size. Now, that seems extremely heavy for a chatterbait, but that 3/4 ounce, I could burn it and not have it wash out until I really kicked it into high gear. With the lighter ones, like the 3/8 and the 1/2 ounce, man, it would just wash out too much for me, and you'd have to reel too slow. That's why I like the 3/4 ounce one better. But if you can see this blade too, there's a slight bend in it right here. Now what that does, the water resistance not as strong, so it's not as hard chattering as a chatterbait normally is. And in fact, this is something you can do to any chatterbait you have. If you don't like how it's running, you can bend it back a little bit or bend that forward, you know, and change the chatter on your chatterbait. And since she dropped her skirt for us, we're rigging it up on my all-time favorite chatterbait trailer. I mean, just look in the water how killer this thing looks. The Depths Death Adder 5-inch, and it's the non-salt, so it's gummy. You don't need no glue or nothing. Don't need none of that. Bam, there's your setup. Black and blue Death Adder with the disco ball blade. Let's go. There we go. Very big, but we'll take them. I don't know where I found these at first, but once I found them and I took this bait down to Lake El Salto, and I caught more 7 and 8 pound fish on this chatterbait than any other bait down there. And man, there was a few years where I was wrecking them every time I went there on it. It didn't matter what time of year it was, I was crushing them on it. And the thing that set this chatterbait apart from the Z-Man one, this was built, I mean, my hook's a little rusty now, but it was built with big, heavy 6/0 hook on it. Any of us who've had baits long enough knows that the rubber band can get a little gummy on there, and boom, this one's skirt done fell off. So this was another thing down in El Salto. We'd fish these chatterbaits naked like this and throw on like a big 8-inch fluke, and man, I would burn this sucker as fast as I could, and those big old Florida strain largemouth would just be tracking this bait. And these baits, they wash out. When you start reeling too fast, they'll wash out, and that would trigger the strike on a lot of these big bass, because they'd be following it and I'd be burning it, then all of a sudden it would wash out, and then bam, they'd crush it. And good old times. What's up, Hano? In fact, here's a funny story. So after I crushed them on this bait, I went back and the patent kicked in. So then I had to go on eBay, and I found a bunch of them, and I bought every one there was. Well, the next time I went down to Lake El Salto, I fished with the same guy all the time for quite a few years. Hano, what up, dude? And anyway, he saw me just crushing them on this bait. Well, one year after I bought them all off eBay, I went there and I was snagging every tree. And when you catch a tree on a chatterbait, when you're burning it, man, and then you catch the limb of the tree, so the limb of the tree bends towards you, and then it snaps back, so then you feel like you got one fighting, and you really lean in and set the hook on it again. And man, I buried like 4 chatterbaits that day, and I was just bumming. I lost them. And so the next year, or the next time I went, you know, the water drops down there because it's man-made reservoirs. Well, the water dropped, and he goes, "Hey, I found all your chatterbaits, compadre." And I was like, "Oh, Hano, you're the man." He opens up his tackle box and he shows them to me, and then he shuts it. It's like, this dude. But anyway. There we go. Good. And again, throwing it on that Daiwa Tula 7.4 chatterbait rod, 20-pound fluoro, 8-to-1 gear ratio, but with these I'd go to a 7-to-1. That was a horrible hook set.